Ethan Hayes and I grew up together, but we ended up resenting each other for a lifetime. He blamed me for taking matters into my own hands, forcing his memories back, and causing his true love to jump off a building. He promised to love me forever, but after losing his memory, he fell for someone else. In the early stages of our 10-year marriage, we were as cold as strangers who knew each other too well. When I got diagnosed with ALS, everyone in town urged him to divorce me. He only carried me to a chapel, knelt among the burning candles for an entire day and night, and prayed for a miracle. On my deathbed, he held me through the night, his forehead against my cheek. "I've done my duty to you in this life," he whispered. "If there's a next one, I hope you don't make me remember. Just let me be with her." Tears slid down my face. I finally got it. I shouldn't have chained him down with our teenage love, dragging him through a whole life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day I found Ethan. This time, I chose to let him be with his true love instead of waking his memories. Mr. Hayes has lost his memory. He won't come back with us. But we've reached out to the top neurologist. He'll get his memories back soon. The conversation was identical to the one from my last life, when I found the missing Ethan Hayes. This time, though, I felt no excitement or urgency. I turned it down and did two things. First, I went to the hospital for a full-body checkup. Second, with my ALS diagnosis in hand, I went to Ethan's parents to call off the engagement. His mother, Gloria Hayes, grabbed my hand and shook her head. "We can't call it off. Ethan loves you so much, he'd never marry anyone else." I stayed quiet and showed them a photo. In it, Ethan gazed at a woman playing a mermaid at the aquarium, obsessed. Rather than force him to marry a terminal patient like me. "Let's keep things as they are," I said. "Let him be with whom he loves. I don't want to hold him back anymore." In my last life, after Ethan vanished in an accident, I searched for him for 5 whole years. I found him living sweetly with Hannah Schultz, who had taken him in against his wishes. I forced a hypnotist to restore his memories. The day he remembered, Hannah jumped off a building and died. From then on, a chasm opened between Ethan and me that we could never bridge. In my past life, the initial phase of our decade-long marriage had been filled with coldness. After I got ALS, he cared for me for 7 years. Me bathing me, praying for me, and seeking doctors for me. But I knew he had done it out of husbandly duty, not real love. Fighting back my tears, I choked out, "Ethan and I have no future in this life." I refused to repeat the mistakes. Leaving the Hayes mansion, I went to find Hannah Schultz. She quickly sent Ethan away, explaining, "I didn't hide him on purpose." "Whether you did or not, you know the truth," I said. Unable to fool me, she bit her lip and broke down. "I know it. His heart has always been with you. Once he remembers, he'll ditch me and run back to you." But I fell for him on the first day of high school. I've loved him for years, but I had never gotten a scrap of attention from him. Finally, I got this chance. Her voice cracked into sobs. "I just want him by my side for a few more days." I listened quietly, but my gaze drifted past her to the man behind her. His eyes were fixed on me without blinking. Muscles tensed like a storm was brewing. The guy who once shadowed me like a protector was now her guard dog. He was ready to lunge and tear into me if I so much as threatened Hannah. I couldn't pin down the feeling in my chest. I just knew in this new life I couldn't selfishly tie him down anymore. I forced a smile. "Don't worry. I'm here to take you two back rather than break you up." Hannah jolted, staring at me in disbelief. "Both of us? You are his girl now. If I left you behind, he wouldn't come anyway. Pack up. You and Ethan are coming home." My voice stayed even as I added, "His parents know about you. They're fine with it." Overjoyed, she grabbed Ethan's hand and beamed at him before rushing off to pack. Only then did Ethan relax. "Sure, I meant no harm." He pressed his lips together, softening a bit. "Sorry. I thought you were going to hurt Hannah." His mood swung with hers. Now no one remembered how, back when Hannah wouldn't leave him alone, he'd burrow into my arms and urge me to claim him. "Tell them I'm yours and yours alone. Make it sound tough," he had said, making goofy faces for me to copy. He'd always end up laughing, rolling around on the couch in a tangle. Unfortunately, that man was no more. I smiled bitterly, taking them to the Hayes mansion. When it came time to introduce me, everyone hesitated on what to say. I jumped in. "I'm your childhood buddy. You always treated me like a little sister. You even said you'd set me up with someone. Now that you've got amnesia, it's on hold." The room went awkward for those in the know, but Ethan bought it. He joked, "All right. Once things settle, I will hook you up with a good guy." That night, the firelight woke me. I pushed the door open and saw everything tied to Ethan and me burning in a pile. Photos from our childhood, awards we won together, and even the wooden doll he gave me when he confessed, crackled into ashes. My heart ached like something squeezed it. Ethan turned to me. "Back then, we didn't have partners, so being close felt fine. But now Hannah is living with me, and seeing this stuff upsets her. So I burned it." Hope you don't mind. I dug my nails into my palm, hiding my distress, and muttered, no big deal. Might as well burn the stuff in my room, too. I went back into my room and boxed up all his old things, tossing them into the fire. Flames licked hot, but I felt soaked in freezing water. 4 days after, the yard echoed with banging and tearing. The whole garden of lilies Ethan had planted for me got dug up and replaced with Hannah's favorite red roses. The glass sunroom where we played piano and watched sunsets was smashed and turned into a pool for her workouts. Even the wisteria arbor, where we first admitted our feelings, got ripped out and dug into a pond she loved for lotuses. The day they planted the lotus seeds, Hannah blocked me in the yard. She lifted her chin, flashing the ring on her finger. Ethan found this ring design in his room. And it was for his future bride. He stayed up nights making it and proposed to me. She wiggled her finger. What do you think? Pretty. The bird and fish pattern was my old favorite. I nodded, sincere. It's gorgeous. Looks great on you. But I hate it. We both know who that design was really for. She glared. You keep saying you're over Ethan, but his old feelings for you, they're like a ticking bomb. It keeps me up at night. So what do you want? I asked. I want. Mid-sentence, she twisted hard and plunged into the muddy pond they just dug. A shove sent me stumbling aside, crashing to the ground. My ankle throbbed like hell and my palm got scraped on rocks, burning up my arm. Before I could get up, Ethan dove in like a madman and hauled Hannah out, both caked in stinking mud. He ignored the mess, frantically wiping mud from her face. His voice was full of panic. You okay? Choke on water. Eyes sting. Any cuts? Hannah took a minute to shake her head, then broke into tears. I'm fine, but the ring you gave me was tossed in the water. I went in to grab it and fell. She held up her hand and the ring was gone. I'm not welcome here, she sobbed. Let's go back to our apartment, okay? At least no one bullies me there. A pitiful look tugged at his heart. His eyes went cold. Who tossed your ring? Hannah pressed her lips together and shot me a scared glance. Making it obvious. I clutched my swollen ankle. Ethan shot me an icy look that chilled me to the bone. I got no reason to steal a ring, I rasped, explaining. You know damn well. Ethan snapped, then scooped Hannah up and nodded to a bodyguard. Ever tossed it, goes in and fishes it out. The bodyguard grabbed me and hurled me into the water. The winter water bit me like knives. I shivered hard on contact, scrambling to get out. But he shoved my shoulder back down. No ring, no getting out. His voice was flat. Want less pain? Find it fast. I bit my lip and gave in, bobbing in the filthy water. My fingers groped through the icy mud. Dirty water seeped up my sleeves, numbing my fingertips. From dawn to dusk till Ethan's parents were due back, I finally snagged the ring. Gripping it, I dragged myself to Ethan's door and knocked. He opened the door, his eyes dark. I'll let it slide this time. Just stay away from Hannah. He flipped his hand and the ring sailed out of the window. Hannah doesn't like the style. I'll redesign one for her, he said. I watched the ring I'd fought for vanish into darkness and forced a smile. It made sense. We saw our past as baggage and naturally didn't want the ring that bore reminiscences. Even though Ethan's parents never warmed to Hannah, they couldn't fight his stubbornness. They swallowed it and threw a lavish engagement party. Guests kept glancing my way. Debbie has got it rough. Bust her ass finding her guy, and now he's marrying someone else. They were childhood sweethearts, made for each other. Everyone thought they'd tie the knot. Who saw this twist coming? If I were her, I'd slap that jerk and his side piece. No way I'd show up here. Hannah glided to the center in a high-end gown. Ethan held her hand, his eyes overflowing with tenderness. He cleared his throat, dropping his usual chill for something polished. Folks, let me introduce you properly too. Before he could finish, the lights flickered and went out. In the dark, chairs crashed and screams erupted. I backed into a corner, but someone grabbed my wrist, slapping a rag reeking of chemicals over my mouth. The world spun. I fought hard, but eventually blacked out, screams filling my ears. Sometime later, Hannah's hushed yell cut through. Damn it. Who told you to do it? At the engagement party, I said, kidnap me and pin it on Debbie. Why did you bring her too? You idiots. Even if you played it straight, you're not getting the rest of the cash. You wrecked my whole plan. My mind cleared, piecing it together. It was another setup by Hannah, but this one off script. In the struggle, I'd felt a gun holster on one of them. These weren't her hired thugs. First, the leader's voice rang familiar. It seemed like a business rival Ethan had crushed and cornered lately. The man called Ethan. Ethan, take a pic from your childhood sweetheart and your love post-amnesia. Who are you saving? Ethan kept cool on screen. But seeing the bruises on Hannah's shoulder cracked him. Touch a hair on Hannah and I'll bury your whole crew. I shut my eyes, a sour sting hitting them. Tears silently slipped down my face. No surprise. I should have known. Ethan's pick. Kidnapper burst out laughing. You think I'm giving you a choice? At a gesture, his men dragged me into a glass box, shoving me against a warm body. The box got tossed into the sea, splashing huge weights on the bottom sped the sink. I yanked off my heels fast, slamming the metal spike into the glass. The torrent dragged at my limbs, glass shards cutting into my skin. I gritted my teeth, pulling the unconscious Hannah out of the container, and swam desperately toward the surface. By the time we broke water, I was spent, but I did my best to push her onto driftwood, tapping her cheek. Hang on. She lived, and Ethan's obsession found its home. As I shoved the wood toward the shore, ALS hit me. My arms went dead, and I sank helplessly into the depths. I stared at the rippling light above and slowly closed my eyes, resigned to fate. The seawater swallowed the last of the sunlight. For a brief moment, everything was quiet. No resentment. No guilt. No memories that weren't mine to carry. On the shore, Ethan stumbled into the water the instant the rescue boats arrived. Hannah. He dragged her onto the sand and began CPR with shaking hands. Cough. She spat out seawater and opened her eyes. The kidnappers had already been arrested. Police officers rushed around the beach. Ethan. The first thing Hannah did was clutch his sleeve. You came. He hugged her tightly. I've got you. Everyone sighed in relief. Then one rescuer frowned. Captain. What? We're still missing one. Ethan's embrace froze. Who? The other victim. Debbie. His heartbeat skipped. Search. His voice cracked across the beach. Search every inch. Divers plunged back into the ocean. Minutes passed. Then 20. Then 40. Finally. We found her. The stretcher emerged from the waves. Debbie lay motionless. Her skin had turned frighteningly pale. Blood mixed with seawater, dripping steadily from the cuts across her arms. The medic immediately began compressions. No pulse. Epinephrine. Again. Ethan didn't know why his legs were moving. He only knew he had already reached the stretcher before anyone could stop him. Move. He shoved the medic aside. I know CPR. His hands pressed desperately against her chest. Wake up. Nothing. Debbie. Nothing. His breathing became ragged. Debbie. Water spilled from her mouth. Then. A weak cough. She was alive. Ethan collapsed beside the stretcher, relief crashing over him so violently that his vision blurred. He hadn't even realized he'd been crying. At the hospital. Debbie regained consciousness first. The familiar numbness had spread farther this time. She couldn't move 2 fingers. The doctor sighed. The cold water accelerated the progression. You shouldn't have overexerted yourself. You've lost more motor function. I don't think. He hesitated. You have much time. She smiled faintly. I know. Outside the room, someone dropped the medical report. Ethan stood frozen. ALS. Advanced stage. Expected survival. His pupils trembled. No. He grabbed another page. Date of diagnosis. Months ago. Long before today. His breathing became uneven. His mind replayed every scene. Debbie climbing into freezing water. Debbie digging through mud all day. Debbie saying, you and I have no future in this life. I'm just your childhood buddy. It's gorgeous. It looks good on her. Every smile had been fake. Every step away from him had been because she knew she was dying. The report slipped from his fingers. His knees buckled. No. 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 That night Ethan couldn't sleep. He wandered into the old storage room. The servants hadn't finished clearing everything out after the fire. One dusty cardboard box remained. His name was written on it. Inside were hundreds of things. Movie tickets. Birthday letters. Photos. A tiny wooden doll with one arm burned black. Underneath everything. A thick notebook. His fingers trembled as he opened it. Page 1. Age 12. Ethan said he'll protect me forever. Age 15. Today he confessed. I think I'll remember this day until I die. Age 22. Ethan disappeared. I'll find him. Even if it takes forever. Age 27. I found him. He smiled at another girl today. I've never seen him smile that happily. The handwriting became shakier. Age 28. The hypnotist said restoring his memories could hurt him. I still did it. Maybe I'm selfish. Another page. Only one sentence. Hannah died today. The ink had blurred from tears. Another page. Ethan looked at me like I murdered the person he loved. Another. Today he fed me medicine. Another. Today he learned how to braid my hair because my hands wouldn't work. Another. Today he secretly cried in the bathroom. He thought I didn't hear. The final page made Ethan stop breathing. It had been written only a week ago. If I die before him this time. I hope Ethan never remembers. Loving me has already exhausted him once. This life. Let him be happy. The notebook slipped from his numb fingers. His entire body shook uncontrollably. Fragments exploded through his mind. A little girl running through a field of lilies. A teenage boy nervously carving a ring. Marry me when we grow up. A kiss beneath the wisteria blossoms. A promise. I'll never leave you. The memories hit all at once. Like a dam collapsing. He screamed. A raw, broken sound echoed through the empty mansion. His memories had returned. Every single one. Including the life before. Including the chapel. Including holding Debbie as she died. Including his own whispered cruelty. If there's a next life, don't make me remember. He collapsed onto the floor, clutching his head. What have I done? For the first time in either lifetime, Ethan Hayes realized that the person who had trapped them together had never been Debbie. It had been himself. The next morning, Ethan disappeared. Hannah searched the mansion in confusion. Ethan? No answer. She finally found him in the greenhouse. Or rather, where the greenhouse used to be. The pool shimmered in the morning light. Workers stood frozen, unsure what to do. Ethan's voice was hoarse. Tear it down. Mr. Hayes. I said tear it down. Within an hour, excavators smashed the tiled pool into rubble. Dig deeper. The foreman hesitated. What are we building, sir? Ethan stared at the ruined ground. A sunroom. Exactly as it was. His eyes were bloodshot. Every window. Every brick. Every piano. Exactly. The workers exchanged uneasy looks. By noon, he was standing in another part of the garden. The red roses Hannah loved were blooming brilliantly. Ethan didn't even glance at them. Pull them all out. The gardener froze. Sir? Every single one. But Miss Schultz personally. I know. His voice left no room for argument. Plant lilies. Thousands of lilies. The flowers Debbie had loved since childhood. The flowers he had once planted with his own hands. Next came the pond. Lotus leaves floated peacefully across the surface. Ethan looked at them for a long time. Then quietly said. Fill it in. The workers didn't dare ask questions. Truck after truck dumped soil into the pond. By evening, the water had vanished. In its place, surveyors marked the outline of a new wisteria arbor. Hannah finally couldn't take it anymore. She rushed over and grabbed his arm. What are you doing? He gently removed her hand. I'm fixing what I destroyed. Her face turned pale. But, these were all things you built for me. They shouldn't have been. Silence. I only wanted you to be happy, Hannah whispered. You were. I thought I was. His answer was quiet enough to hurt more than shouting. I confused gratitude with love. She stared at him as if she didn't recognize him. What are you saying? Ethan lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. You deserve someone who chooses you without hesitation. I wasn't that man. Her lips trembled. So after remembering, you regret everything? He closed his eyes. Yes. The single word shattered her. She laughed bitterly through tears. So in the end, I still lost. No. Ethan looked at her calmly. You never stole me. I gave you my heart. But it wasn't whole. And that was unfair to both of you. She covered her face and sobbed. For the first time since meeting him, she realized the man standing before her was no longer the Ethan she'd fallen in love with after the accident. The memories hadn't just returned. They had changed him completely. Meanwhile, Debbie quietly packed her suitcase. The doctor had arranged admission to a neurological care center overseas. There wasn't a cure. But there were clinical trials. She didn't expect a miracle. She simply wanted to spend whatever time remained somewhere peaceful. As she zipped up the suitcase, Gloria entered. You really won't tell him? Debbie smiled softly. What difference would it make? He remembers now. Her hand froze. Already? Gloria nodded, tears welling. He hasn't slept. He spends every night reading your journals. He won't stop blaming himself. Debbie looked out the window. I know that feeling. In my last life, I blamed myself every day too. So this time, let it end with me. Gloria grabbed her hand. Child. You still love him. Debbie's eyes reddened. I do. I probably always will. But loving someone doesn't always mean staying. She picked up her suitcase. I finally learned that. As she walked toward the front door, she heard frantic footsteps echo through the mansion. Debbie. Ethan's voice. Closer. Debbie. She stopped for only a second. Then kept walking. The front gate slowly opened. Behind her, Ethan burst into the foyer, breathless, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes swollen from crying. He saw the open gate. The empty driveway. The butler lowered his head. Sir. Miss Debbie has left. Ethan stood completely still. Then, in a whisper so broken it barely sounded human, he asked. Where did she go? No one knew. For the first time in both of their lives, Debbie had chosen a road that did not lead back to Ethan Hayes. Debbie's disappearance became the turning point. The police investigation into the kidnapping quickly uncovered something no one had expected. One of the kidnappers, hoping for a lighter sentence, handed over his phone. I've got proof, he said. Miss Schultz contacted us first. The officers exchanged looks. The call logs, bank transfers, and encrypted messages all matched. Hannah had indeed hired a group of local thugs to stage a fake kidnapping during the engagement party so Ethan would heroically rescue her and Debbie would take the blame. She had never intended for professional criminals to get involved. But after her hired man leaked details of the plan, Ethan's business rival had hijacked the scheme for revenge. The staged kidnapping had turned into a real attempted murder. Although Hannah hadn't planned that outcome, her actions had set everything in motion. She was arrested on charges related to conspiracy, filing false statements, and arranging the fake kidnapping that led to serious injuries and deaths. The investigation distinguished her original plan from the rival's later crimes, but the legal consequences were still severe. News spread through the city overnight. Hayes' engagement exposed as criminal conspiracy. Bride-to-be behind fake kidnapping plot. Terminally ill woman nearly dies saving romantic rival. People who had once mocked Debbie were horrified. So, Debbie never pushed Hannah? She actually saved her? She almost drowned because of them. I called her shameless. I was wrong. Public opinion flipped completely. Ethan wasn't interested in the headlines. He spent every waking hour searching. Airports. Train stations. Hospitals. Hotels. Charities. He searched every place Debbie had ever mentioned wanting to visit. Nothing. She had disappeared as though she had dissolved into the wind. The Hayes family, meanwhile, issued a public statement. Our family sincerely apologizes to Miss Debbie and her family for the pain she suffered. We failed to protect someone who had been part of our family since childhood. Gloria stepped down from several charity boards to focus on helping victims of violent crime. Ethan's father quietly donated a large portion of the family's wealth to ALS research in Debbie's name. It was the only apology they knew how to make. As for Ethan, his punishment wasn't prison. It was memory. Every restored memory became another blade. He remembered Debbie falling asleep on his shoulder while studying. He remembered carving the bird and fish ring with bleeding fingers. He remembered promising. If I ever forget you, just remind me. He remembered the chapel. Holding her frail body. Begging heaven to save her. Then. His own cruel words. If there's another life, don't make me remember. He broke down so violently that the servants had to call a doctor. The diagnosis wasn't physical. It was overwhelming grief. Months later, Ethan received a package with no return address. Inside was the old wooden doll he had carved when they were teenagers. It had been carefully repaired. There was also a single handwritten note. Ethan. You once told me that broken things don't always need to be thrown away. I finally believe you. But some broken things shouldn't be put back together. Don't spend the rest of your life looking backward. Live well. That's the only thing I still want for you. Debbie. The paper slipped from his trembling fingers. He smiled. Then cried harder than he ever had before. Because he understood what the note really meant. She had forgiven him. But forgiveness wasn't an invitation to come back. It was her goodbye. And this time, he respected it. He folded the letter carefully, placed it beside the repaired wooden doll, and whispered into the empty room. I'll carry this regret for the rest of my life. Outside, the first lilies of spring bloomed where the roses had once stood. Ethan looked at them for a long time. Then turned away. Not because he had forgotten Debbie. But because, for the first time, he understood